everybody, thanks for tuning into our channel and thanks for watching our video today. What we're going to talk about is why communication is important in marriage. I think we all agree that it's a very important topic, and whoever you ask, they're going to say communication, communication, communication. So we're going to dive into that. This is actually going to be the first of a four-part series that we're doing. But I'm going to let my wife talk about, what we're going to do today in terms of this video and the series overall.
Right, so we're excited to do this video, and it came about from a conversation, a multitude of conversations we had here lately about marriage and stuff like that, just kind of like casually talking about marriage and talking with some other married couples and things like that about marriage. And one of the things that came up, topics that came up, was communication. As before I got married, when I asked several married couples about what is the number one thing that's important in marriage, I think a lot of you could agree, you received the response that communication was the most important thing. So being in marriage for this short amount of time so far, 2.5 years almost, we have come to understand and learn that yes, communication is very, very, very important in marriage. I can almost say that if you are not communicating with your spouse, then your marriage is probably not in the best spots. There's a lot of things that haven't been said that need to be said. A lot of things that's been swept under the rug, that's not addressed, and it's going to eventually come out later. But if you are communicating with your spouse as they come up, then I think that you are developing and cultivating a very healthy marriage.
Correct, and I couldn't agree more. Communication helps the marriage move forward. If you never talk, if something goes left, goes wrong, and you don't talk about it, you don't give your marriage air to breathe. But when you do communicate, it's giving the marriage the opportunity to address it and move forward and put it in the past. Also, without communicating, like you mentioned, things get swept under the rug, and that can build up ill will feelings, resentment, unforgiveness, just whatever, if you never communicate. And it kind of keeps everybody in the loop, your spouse in the loop, and kind of keeps you on the same page as well. And it's healthy just to talk about things, get things out there, how you're feeling. Hey, I didn't like this, I didn't like when you said this, or I didn't like when that happened. So that's why communication is healthy. It's almost like crying, you cry just to let it out, get those feelings out, get the emotion out. So when you talk with your spouse, you're giving your marriage opportunity to breathe, move forward, and move on, and continue to stay healthy, and keeps you and your spouse on the same page. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I just wanted to say I love that point that you're giving your marriage an opportunity to breathe. I never thought about it like that, but I think it's so true, because after you communicate, I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself, and I believe for you as well, that after you communicate, you just feel a sense of peace. You feel like you were heard out. You feel like that your partner understood where you were coming from, and that you guys can just move forward from the issue. But again, if you're not talking about it, and you're just keeping it in, you can't move forward. And I will again dare to say that if you're not communicating in your marriage is probably not in the best of spots. You can probably give the illusion that it is, but if there's things that need to be said that you are not saying, then it's going to come out later, and it's just building up more and more things against your marriage, whereas you want to be building up your marriage.
Correct. No, that's a great point. Something you also want to do is, and we'll probably touch more on this in our next video, how to communicate, but you also want to make sure you're giving your spouse and your marriage an opportunity to communicate. You don't want to cut off that line and option of communication, because it's such a healthy thing, healthy dialogue. You want your spouse to be able to come to you with a concern, say, hey, this happened and I want to talk to you about it. And you want to be able to make sure you can go to your spouse and talk to them, say, this is what's going on, I want to talk to you about it. So don't ever make your spouse feel like they're nagging you or they're annoying because they want to talk to you about something. Husbands, take your time with your wives. Let them know they can come and talk to you anytime. But in our next video, we'll talk about how to go about that.
How?
But before we wrap up, Maisha, anything you want to touch
No, I
on?
think you said it beautifully. Thanks for
Awesome.
listening, and I hope to see you in the next video.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.